running up the score.
You're listening to the Running Up the Score podcast. Now here's your hosts, Jerry Napoleonello and Kevin Donlin.
Kansas City, I feel, is back, and really everybody should be worried because not only and really they're not even doing it on the offensive side. And this is the thing. We were talking about Kansas City earlier in the season where we were like, you know what? You know, not only does Patrick Mahomes have the most interceptions in the league, but their defense can't stop a nosebleed. And that was the scary thing when it comes to Kansas City is, you know, maybe they're not going to make it back. And then they turn it around like they are. I mean, I think they're averaging 10 points a game, 10 points allowed per game the last 6 or 7 games. That's scary for a team that has offensive power as the Kansas City Chiefs do, and they're not even playing at their full potential. So you mesh those two together, it's kind of like their Super Bowl run. You know, their defense wasn't great. They get into the playoffs, and then their defense steps up. And this is it's starting to get scary for the rest of the NFL if you ask me, basically, with Kansas City.
Yeah, well, when it comes to the Kansas City Chiefs, there was no surprise there really for me. I think it was obviously a known fact that they're a good team. They've been a good team for a long time. They switched out their entire offensive line, hence the struggles they had early on with running the football and Patrick Mahomes, because you could be as good as a quarterback as you want. When you make some of the decisions that I've seen some of these quarterbacks make this year, it becomes alarming. And I can explain to you why. You start seeing quarterbacks like, you know, Patrick Mahomes throwing these sidearmers. And, you know, the other day I'm watching Justin Fields throw the ball while he's leaping in the air. And, you know, I'm watching all these quarterbacks. And I don't mean to put these two in the same boat. They're really obviously not even close. But you watch these quarterbacks try to, you know, do these abnormal throws. And it puts you off for a minute. And it causes it to be inaccurate. You know, when I see Patrick Mahomes, you know, throwing across his body, sidearm, and makes a completion last year, it was like, oh my God, this guy is incredible. Look what he can do. And then you watch him do it again this year, and it's inaccurate, and it becomes an interception. And then there's problems for the defense because they're put in uncomfortable positions. Because say what you want about the defense of the Kansas City Chiefs in the beginning of the year, but Patrick Mahomes was throwing a hell of a lot of picks.
Oh yeah, he was horrible.
And these were terrible decisions. And you know, I'm a huge fan of Patrick Mahomes. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks I've ever seen. And the kid's in like year 3.
Yeah.
And he has shown me this year that obviously you can be great, but the decision making is everything. And you know, unfortunately for him, his decisions have been, you know, subpar. Hence the reason why they're, you know, close to 500 team right now, as opposed to having a dominant record. So for the Kansas City Chiefs, I just feel like they found it back. They're starting to run the football a lot better than they have all year long. Edwards-Helaire was non-existent in the beginning of this year. Obviously, he went down with an injury, and they continuously didn't run the football. But they weren't running the football with him in the beginning of the year to begin with. So I don't really put that on the running backs of the Kansas City Chiefs. I actually put that more on the offensive line. I think they found a way to start finding holes for their running game. And I'll tell you, you know, 3rd down and 4s are a lot easier to convert than 3rd down and 9s. And even for the almighty Patrick Mahomes, you know, your offense has to have a good flow. But part of having a good flow is being able to just get good chunks of yards and be able to get easy first downs. You don't want to be stuck in 3rd down and 10s and then have a defensive end have a field day. Because then he knows what's happening here, folks. I mean, he knows you're going to run the football at 3rd down and 10. So he can unleash on your quarterback, doesn't have to worry about running lanes. You know, it's a whole concept that people don't understand when it comes to offense, that what needs to be done. Everyone talks about, oh, just pass all day. This is a passing league. You know, it's great. It's fun. But the truth is that, you know, you got to be able to run the football well in this league, especially when the temperatures and, you know, start to get lower and, you know, the bad weather comes in. Running the football is the safest way without turning the ball over. I mean, I've always been a fan of that.
We had a team that actually ran the ball all but like 3 times and still win a game.
Of course.
So that's a big difference. Just like you said, running the ball is huge. I mean,
I'm a Jet fan, and the best years I ever saw for the New York Jets was the years that we were running the football and we were playing good defense.
Yep.
We never had a great passing game. We never had a
Mark
dominant
Sanchez.
passing game. The most dominant passing game I ever saw in the NFL didn't even win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And every Giant fan could sit there and, agree with that one. You have to be able to run the football, or defensive ends or defensive line in general is going to have a field day with your quarterback because they know what you're doing.
Yeah, you just pin your ears back. So that's what it comes down to. When a defense knows what you're doing, you can have the most unique type of offense, passing offense. But when a defense knows and you have superior defensive ends or defensive tackles or even linebackers rushing, the offensive line, the superior defensive player is going to get there more times than, not. So that's when it comes down to, it's if they know that you're going to pass it every single down, it makes it so much easier to stop.
For more Running Up the Score, go follow the show on Twitter and Instagram at RUTS Sports.